Namaskar, I'm Vadini Joshi,
Namaskar.
and I welcome you all to this special evening dedicated to DigitalWari. Wari, it's not just a pilgrimage, it is an ocean of bhakti, unity, and unwavering faith. And today, we're going to experience the profound essence of Wari right here through our very own digital Wari. No matter the distance, our devotion, our hearts are now united at the feet of Vittal. This incredible digital Wari celebration has been passionately organized by the BMCC Heritage Collective for the past 5 years, and today marks the 16th day of this magnificent celebration. It's truly heartwarming to see how technology can beautifully blend with tradition, allowing all of us who can't physically join the Wari to partake in the spiritual journey and sanctity of this revered pilgrimage. Today, we have been joined by our esteemed speaker, Sivasankar Babu, with the topic The Roles of Rivers in Bharatiya Culture. Sivasankar Babu is a true luminary in the fields of finance and heritage awareness. With over 40 years of experience in the finance industry, he has been doing domain consulting under his own company, Techno Bankers, for the past 7 years. After significant stints at Indian Overseas Bank, Hexaware, Wipro, and Capgemini, he has also seamlessly transitioned his expertise into profound passion for Indian heritage. Sir is the visionary behind Babu for Heritage initiatives, an umbrella dedicated to spreading awareness about Indian history, ancient commerce, temple art and architecture, epigraphy, and iconography. A mentor to final year BE students and a certified expert in old scripts like Tamil Brahmi, Vattelettu, and Grantha. He brings a unique blend of corporate acumen and scholarly depth to his work. He is also a mentor for Alamar Avai, providing heritage training for teachers and heritage docents, and is actively involved in the THD site seminars. Beyond his extensive travels, documented on his Facebook tour albums, he regularly conducts training in heritage and temple art and architecture at various institutions. Furthermore, he is one of the select 100 credible India Tourism Guide Advanced Heritage Guides from the Government of India's Ministry of Tourism. His YouTube channel, Babu for Heritage, is a treasure trove of curated heritage videos across over 50 categories. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Sivasankar Babu and request him to begin his lecture. Thank you.
Namaskar. Are you able to hear me clearly?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Before we started, my prayers to the God of Pandharpur, Vitalava, and the great Wari tradition and the procession that is happening, which is going to culminate in 2 days. I also thank the BMCC and the DigitalWari authorities for giving me one more chance. Last year was my initiation where I talked about the structure of Wari and how similar structured celebrations are available across South India, and I took some 2 or 3 sample scenarios. This year, by God's grace, I have been allotted to talk about our rivers and how they intertwine with their Indian culture, the philosophy, the divinity, and the practical life. So, the next half an hour is going to be a brief peek into Indian rivers. Yes. Are you able to see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
So, today's subject is the role of rivers in Indian culture, how they are intermingled, and then how they handle multiple dimensions of Indian culture. So, what is the importance of rivers? They provide water for agriculture, industry, and now more than this, they provide tidal power as they flow from the high areas of their source and then they flow from this one. The differential produces a lot of tidal power, and that has been one of the major sources and contentions. They also support the ecosystem and biodiversity by flushing out all the things and then moving different things and supporting different flora and fauna through their journey from the mountains to the ocean. On the way, they also provide transportation for goods and people. Earlier days, they were the main transports, the boats and other things were the earlier transportations. That's why if you see the major ports or the major cities are mostly on the river mouths. You still even now you see Mahanadi port, Godavari port, Krishna, and then Umbugar, and then here you have your Tamarabarnipur, like that. This is also a lot of our Bombay area. All the river mouths where it provides a safe passage inside, and then it makes it as an ideal harbor, and it easy for them to do transport and get fresh water. And then because of this, many of the temples and many of the civilizations flourished in the river mouths, and that is where the culture as well as the religious worship also started. So with this, they designed a lot of religious practices and then seasonal festivals, pilgrimage circuits where you visit Ganges once and then you visit Rameshwaram once and then you have Char Dham like that. And then the sacred geographies where in a river flows Uttarvahini like this, and then this is termed as a very sacred river. So that area is very important, and special temples were constructed selectively in that areas. When I talk about rivers, rivers in India are not termed as mere water bodies. They are worshipped as nature's gift to human, and then they are celebrated. They have been part of Puranas, Itihasas, and integral part of cultures. And like this, the Ganga, where it is throwing his eighth child, and Santanu is saying, "Stop, stop, stop, what you are doing?" Finally, this child becomes Bhishma, and this is the core of entire Mahabharata, is Ganga. Similarly, when you go into temples, when you enter in the entrance, there are two beautiful ladies, and they will be standing on Makara and in crocodile. Who are they? Ganga and Yamuna. They are welcoming. There is so critical that we are worshipping them at the beginning of the temple itself. So now our convention normally is the beautiful the deep and turbulent and aggressive rivers are normally flowing entirely through mountain are normally named after males, like your Brahmaputra. So they are part and parcel of our culture. The way it is named, the way it is done, is all aligned with the central fiber. When it comes to the key points, when we talk about a river, okay, the cultural connect is at several locations. We are looking at the Ganga system, where it starts from Gangotri, flows all the way, and then on the way it acquires so many other connections, and then it widens, and then finally flows into the sea. In this route, these 5 points are very, very important and then revered in the culture and in Puranas and as religious significance. The origin in mountains is always revered. Then the second key thing, for example, Bhagirath. The second key thing which is revered is the junctions where it joins with others. For example, the Prayagraj or where the three rivers are joining together. So that is a holy. The joining place is always a holy place, and then lot of melas, pujas, and then annual and 12-year cycle, and then 60-year cycle. All these pujas, and then people gather in large amount and then do the celebration there. You see, important temples there itself. Then the other interesting thing is Uttaravahini, Urdhvahini are normally our rivers flow this way, and when it goes on the reverse direction, that is special. That is where a lot of interesting temples will be structured and then developed. You can clearly analyze this. So this is the third component. Then, as the river goes, it becomes big and then it becomes wider and wider, and it goes into a serene from a turbulent flow to the serene flow. That is where a lot of safe cities and then grand development and everything happens. And finally, the place where it reaches sea or joins some other major river. So this is a very, very holy place. It is like homecoming, or you are going to a new home. Many of these Sagara Sangamas are holy places for doing ancestral rituals and other things. Again, this will be where the major civilization and ports will be there. So any river, if we analyze this A, B, C, D, E, 5 points, Prabhava, Prayaga, Udavagini, Prasiddha Pravaha, and then Sagara Sangama, you understand the key culture that is available in Indian rivers. Let us analyze them one by one. When we talk about Prabhava, the origin point, I listed 12 popular rivers of India according to the elevation, where Brahmaputra is starting from a very high one, Sindhu the next one, Ganga at 4,000, Yamuna at 3,000, and gradually the South Indian rivers are from the Western Ghats, where they start around 1,500 range. So, when you talk about the origin, there are three different systems. One is the Himalayan system, that is glacier based, and the other one is Narmada, Tapti, and others, which are typically the middle Vindhya based systems. And the rest of the east flowing rivers are from the Western Ghats. Very minimal rivers are there from Eastern Ghats. In fact, there is one place in Maharashtra, a peak, where the rain falls on one side. It goes into um, the west side and then goes into Narmada, and the east side that goes into Godavari. So that is the key areas. So the Hindus treat as the origin of river as the birthplace. So like how a birthplace of Rama or Krishna is celebrated, the birthplace of river god is also celebrated. Usually there will be a grand temple and worship, and then there will be lot of holy yatras going into these locations in mountain peaks. Even though it is a mountain peak at a high altitude, in the allowed periods, there are heavy yatras going into the particular place. Whereas the southern rivers or the east flowing rivers are at a fairly comfortable height and that they are easily reachable. But this is challenge. Yeah, Gangotri, Yamunotri is a challenge. Some of the popular ones are Gangotri starting from Gomiki, Yamunotri, Talakaveri for Kaveri, Narmada Kunda at Amarkanda. They are very popular, and then there are beautiful temples there. When we talk about the origin point of Ganga is a very, very famous story, and it has been depicted beautifully in pictures and in Mahabalipuram, the fall of Ganga and the Bhagirath thing is a very, very famous depiction. Here, based on the Bhagiratha's penance, he gives a gift and then Ganga descends from heaven and then reaches Shiva's head. He is the only person who can handle the force of Ganga. So that is Ravi Verma painting, and this is where it starts. In a cave from the glacier, the water comes out, and this is the actual place. And then somewhere down the line, There is the actual Gangotri temple, which is situated in a fairly easier place. Similarly, Yamunotri, we have this, and then we gradually we need to go there to find at the source of Yamuna. In south, the famous one is the Talakaveri, where the Kaveri comes out of a small flow from this area and then drifts and then fills up this pond and then gradually goes into a river. This is a holy place. Earlier, it was only the pond was there. Now it has been fully developed into a beautiful complex, and it is a fantastic place to go and visit, have darshan, and enjoy scenery. Now, rivers are connectors. Rivers, even though top of the rivers of India are less than half of the length compared to the top 10 rivers of the world, which are usually around 5,000 kilometers plus. Many of them run across the continent. Here in India, actually, this is not a small thing. There is not a river which runs from Himalayas to Kanyakumari. If it runs, it would have been easily around 4,000, 5,000 kilometers. But there are geological barriers in between. Most of the rivers get down from Himalayas and then flow horizontally from west to east and then reach. So the width available is around 2,500 kilometers. That is the length. But with this length, they flow through various landscapes, Himalayan mountains, and then turbulence, and then Gangetic plains, and then coming into Bangala, where it goes into a estuary, and Sundarban area, where it becomes a huge estuary. So each area gives a different kind of flavor and different kind of structure. So they think the lives culture, everything is connected. The Gangetic Valley is one connection of 2,500. It is more than a national highway, it is a national river. If you see this, the largest one, Ganga, Godavari, Krishna, Yamuna are there. There are a lot of small rivers which are internal, but these are the big ones in terms of length. Again, we are missing one major river here, Sindhu, which flows in the system, flows for a very minimal period in the upper Himachal Pradesh and near Kashmir. So the length of Sindhu inside India is very minimal. That's why it is coming very low down the order. Brahmaputra again, it goes through the northeast and then joins Ganges. That's why the length is short. Now we are thinking in terms of confluence. The river joining the sea or another river is a confluence. But joining sea is a holy place. And then it is like a woman going from his hometown to a totally new house after marriage. The transition changes from fresh water to salt water, from serene flow to turbulent flow, all these things, from a small one to different one. It's a totally different change. And this is where most of the religious functions and ancestral rituals are performed. If you see this, the westward flowing rivers normally flow into Arabian Sea, Narmada, Periyar, Sindhu, and other things. And Narmada, Periyar, except Narmada, all others are very small, primarily due to the Western Ghats. When you talk about the rivers that are emptying into Bay of Bengal, the Ganges system comes from Himalaya, whereas the rest, Ganges and Brahmaputra, whereas the rest of the rivers, bulk, are created from the other side end of India in the Western Ghats, and then they flow through the entire peninsula and then reach the Bay of Bengal. So that's why the the southern part is filled up with a lot of rivers, and then it makes it a fairly fertile and balanced place of rivers and then forests and other things. That creates a interesting thing. Again, like I said earlier, this is where the civilization initially starts. So when the civilization starts naturally, along with this, there are ports, there are cultures, there are temples, and then there are beautiful development going slowly inwards in the river mouth. So that we can see it. So in that way, confluence is a very, very important place. And the most of the ports, major ports will be in the confluences. Interestingly, if you take analysis, in the east coast, most of the port towns are always on the northern side of the river mouth. That may be due to the wave pattern and other things, where the south side gets sanded and then get covered very easily, whereas the northern part is fairly released into. Uh, so, a prime example is in Orissa, where there are two major ports, Manikpatna and Palura, near Puri. The Manikpatna in the north survived, whereas the down south Palura got sanded, and then once a flourishing harbor till 10th century, 15th century, gradually went out of things. The same story is there for Tamrabarani, where the south side, Korkai port got sanded. Then, other aspects, what we need to cover is the width of the flow, how wide it becomes due to the collection of things, how much volume it can handle during rainy seasons, and how much of islands that are passed. When it becomes wider and wider, slowly due to changes in flow, there are islands that will come into it. So these wider parts are usually identified. Hello, some of them are having the mic open. Can I ask everybody to switch off the mics? When the flow is widest, the river is in a serene, easy flow and wider, and it is very useful for diversion into irrigation and the inland transport between both sides. And then this is where the civilization next option of development. The first option is the river mouths. Second option is the widest flow part. So if you see this, Ganges has got a huge width of 8, Godavari 5, Mahanadi 5. In fact, um, when you cross the Katak bridge, then it is a massive travel. Each bridge is 3 to 4 kilometers long. Then you need to cross two parts. Krishna is very big, and slowly as you come down south, the rivers are getting wider and at a less rate. This is 2 points. Again, Brahmaputra maybe 2 kilometers, probably because Brahmaputra is a very, very deep river compared to others. The other aspect, this is the issue phase where we divert irrigation. When it is widest, normally half the time it will be half full of water, where the water will be flowing in stages. But when there is flooding, since it is shallow, it will overflow. To avoid this, many of the areas there is an irrigation diversion schemes which are coming up, which handle the environmental thing in a very, very better way. Kaveri, particularly after Trichy, goes into a flat terrain, and then during rainy season and other things, it is prone to regular flooding. Only now with a lot of dams and then irrigational channels and other things, this is getting addressed in a better way so that it is spread wide and then through irrigation channels. That is an environmental issue. Again, interestingly, the islands are hallmarks. Whenever there is a sea island, it is a different story. But usually, islands form in two ways. It becomes wider, and during summer time, the island is available. Again, second way the island is formed is it takes a horseshoe kind of a thing, and finally the entire bend is eroded and the ends join and the bend is cut off. So it creates a island in between. These islands are usually used for holy purposes, and then usually in the best area there will be islands. So prime examples Sagar Island and Cuttack. The entire capital city is an island between two branches of river. That's why it is impregnable, and it has been attacked and captured very minimally. One of the very safest capitals of the territories or the dynasties in India. Second, Krishna Bhavani Island, Vijayawada, has been beautifully developed. Narmada, we have Mandata, Omkareshwar, fantastic temple. Kaveri has got three things. The earlier flow in Srirangapatna and in between near Sivasamuddram, Munmore Island, and finally when it comes to Trichy, the Srirangam. So they call it as Trirangam, Melrangam, Nadurangam, and Keelrangam. There is top, middle, and bottom. Three Rangams are there, and all the three, Sayana Vishnu is very famous idol. So the land is fertile, people are happy, he has got no job and he is happily sleeping. That is the culture. And Brahmaputra, interestingly, has the deep thing, has got the world's largest island. In Periyar, the Vipin Island, earlier it used to be a mangrove island. Now it has been totally revamped, and now this is one of the major, largest ports of India. So these islands are also part of culture, and then they serve as religious centers, and then they nurture its own culture. So all our festivals and other things, when the river flow is not there, you go to the island, have a picnic, and then enjoy time. Again, festivals. Rivers and festivals are tied together. If you see the rivers, there are many of the famous temples are around rivers. In south, the Devaram, which is the song sung by Shaiva saints about Shiva, that is, they are sung around 280 plus places. The classification is into 5 or 6 segments. Two major segments are Kaveri Vadagade Nadu, that is the holy places that is on the north bank of Kaveri, Kaveri Tengare Nadu, the temples that are on the south bank of Kaveri. That is the level of importance that are given to rivers. So when you talk about the famous rivers, Kashi Vishwanatha, Yamuna Devi Temple, Triveni Sangamam, where the three join. Okay, Omkareshwara, again, the one of the Jyotirlingas, and then Triambareswara, another Jyotirlinga in Godavari, Dattatreya Temple, Mallikarjuna Temple in Srisailam, one of the famous temples on mountain top. That is very, very ancient. Manapuram Temple in Periyar. And then when it comes to Kaveri, we saw the three Kaveri temples. In addition, when it comes to Kupakonam, onwards, there are a lot of temples. The Kumbakonam city itself has got so much of temples. Nimishamba temple in Srirangapatna, and there are many temples on the banks of Kaveri. Tamarabarani, even though it is a very short river which runs for under 200 kilometers, that entire stretch is full of temples. Shiva temple, Vaishnava temples, and then it's fun. Similarly, Bhima, our current reference, we have in the Ujjaini Lake your Palasnath temple and Lakshmi Narasimha temple in Sevari, and the famous Vitala temple in Pandharpur. This is the Bhima River. Again, uh, there are major Pushkaram festivals. Ganga Arati. Ganga is famous for the Kumbh Mela and also the famous Ganga Arati which is done daily. Similarly, Pushkaram's function happening in almost all the rivers. And in Aluva, there is a famous Shivaratri festival in Periyar River. And Kaveri Kumbakonam, we also celebrate Mahamaham. Like that, Pushkarams are celebrated in the 12 holy rivers. Now, coming to the Sangamas. The Sangamas are normally the places where two or more rivers join. Like a railway junction, it is a river junction. So here, again, these are all the holy places where a lot of interesting temples, rituals, functions are happening. In Ganga, you have the Deva Prayagraj and other things, Yamuna, Allahabad, and then Triveni Sangamam, where all these things join. Gauhaji, there is a Dipam. Narmada Omkar is very famous. And then Tapati, there is a Prakasha and Vagur. Bhima, there is a Valki where the Mula river from the south side also joins. Mahanadi, Katak is a very famous uh, joining of 2-3 junction. Godavari where this one joins. And Krishna, Alampur is Tungabhadra. See here, where Tukabhadra joins, Alampur is a very famous area where most of the early Chalukya temples are there. There is one big temple complex. Similarly, Vijayawada, where Musi River joins, that is again a big temple complex. And the Nahada field Bhima also joins, and that area is also having some interesting temples. Kaveri, the Bhavani joining in Puduturai is a major Sangama temple, beautiful temple is there. And in Hemavadi also there is some junction. Similarly, Tamarabarni, the two celebrated things are Tirunelveli and Sri Vaikuntham, where large temples are there. So in this Sangamas, Kumbh Mela is the major festival that happens in Triveni Sangama. It is tied with all the three rivers, the three major famous rivers of India. And then there is a in the earth with the minimal percentage of lost human life. It is in millions. And then this year, fantastically, they cleaned up beautifully after the Kumbh Mela. Similarly, Pushkaram is handled in 12 major rivers on the Zodiac river every month on the rotation basis. It will be there. Similarly, Chat Puja is handled in the Eastern India, offering immersion rituals. Again, the earlier rituals of moksha is getting buried on riversides or the famous one, Kasi, to die in Kasi and then dragged into the river Ganga. So it purifies on this. So this is also being formalized. So from birth till death, your life is intertwined with the rivers. Now, coming to again the last concept, Uttaravahini. What does it mean? Normally, Indian rivers flow from east to west. This is a or west to east. West to east is the Ganges system, and the other Bay of Bengal rivers, and then there are east to west like Narmada, Tapati. But if you take the Himalayan rivers, they flow from Himalayan rivers down south straight and then go horizontal. Not many rivers flow from north because primarily this is like this, and the down south it is like this. So the Indian geography doesn't allow most of the rivers to go directly north all the way. But in some segments, in some areas, the some river which is normally going like this goes north. That is called Uttaravahini. That is considered special auspicious because it is going towards Himalayas. So in most of this is the place where you will be having a special temple or special locations or your Jyotirlingas or alignments. So if you see the noted ones, Vrindavan, Uttaravagini, Gauhati, Uttaravagini, Omkareshwar, Uttaravagini, and Jyotirlinga, Prakasha, Uttaravagini, Godavari, Bhadrachalam goes north. Massive temple next to Tirupati. Alampur, again I said, fantastic location. The entire structure is collection of temples. Kaladi, this is where Adi Shankara born, and then there is a huge Mata and temple in Kaladi. Kaveri, Mailadurai is famous. Initially I was scratching my head why Mailadurai is so famous without any other famous locality, famous structures and other things there. And finally, it also sparked that this is where it goes north in the lower segment. So that is a special. Similarly, in Tamarabarni, Tirupudi Marudu, one famous temple with a lot of beautiful paintings and fantastic structure, that is on the north flowing segment. So, Uttaravagini is also where a river is closely aligned with the society as a special thing. Now, when it comes to rivers, rivers are not just water or H2O. They are gods. And then they are depicted in Puranas. They are depicted in all these things. So, Ganga Yamuna is always there in any temple front or in like the Dwarapalas. They are there. And then Ganga is depicted with the Makara or a crocodile. And Yamuna is depicted with the tortoise with a Kutta or Kalasa. Similarly, Saraswati, the mythical river, which we are not able to find, is also worshipped. And Godavari is a very famous thing. And similarly, Kaveri is worshipped in a great way in southern states. And then whenever the fresh water comes into Kaveri, in the southern side, Tanjavur Delta, there are special pujas to the fresh water that is coming into Kaveri. So they are water, they are river, and then they are God. When I talk about cultural impact, pilgrimage routes are structured through rivers. There is a lot of art, music, architecture, and everything that happens around Banaras to Madurai, all the places. Rivers trigger a lot of daily sacred practices, ritual baths in the morning and evening, offering, and then ancestral prayers, and then a lot of household systems into river bank. You go to Kerala, in many of the places, a branch of the river flows to your backyard where you perform all your rituals and other things from your backyard also because there is a part of the channel of the river going through that. So, having seen the ritual and social and religious impact, let us see the environmental impact also. Again, due to industrialization, pollution hotspot, and Varanasi in particular, dead bodies and all the refuses. So when they come to Bath and Ganges, they say that you leave all the old concepts. So what they do, they keep on to the old concepts, all awareness and other things. They just remove the old clothes and then go with fresh clothes. All these old clothes get accumulated here. So similarly, they need to leave a vegetable. So whatever they don't eat, they leave it. Conservation projects are happening in the river mouth area so that it can be handled in a better way, and there is some ecological balances where namami ganga and other things are happening, and then it is slowly upstream is getting slowly cleaned up, and but main downstream is still a challenge for us. It is our shared responsibilities. The river remains central to our religious, artistic, and social responsibilities. How do you take care of them? This degradation is questioning the very sanctity with a lot of effluents flooding, dead bodies floating, and all the junk getting dumped, and river banks not get clean. We should recover that and make it into a clean. How do we do it? Sustainable rituals. We need we need to ensure that the rituals doesn't damage the river, and the public partnership and the policy reforms is a very critical. So with public participation and policy, we have made this part in Rishikesh very clean and beautiful, and we hope that with our joint work, we make the entire river system clean. Now, coming to the relevant, the local river, Bhima, the relevant one to the Wari. This originates at Bhima Shankari near Tungi Padargad Fort. This is where the initial segregation is there. And from here it flows through, and there is a beautiful Bhima Shankari, which is a Jyotirlingam. From here it flows through multiple reservoirs and then crosses Pandharpur. When it crosses Pandharpur, this is a rare situation where it was fully flooded. Nowadays, it is not fully flooded because there is an upstream dam which stops the river flow, and then only stream of water is coming up. Again, it flows further. The river Bhima crosses into Karnataka and then Andhra, and then finally reaches Kadlur and then merges with Krishna River near Raichur. So, but Bhima is the key for the northern Maharashtra with many reservoirs, and then Uttaravakini, it keeps on moving like this. Uttaravakini, and part of the core Maratha culture. So that is how its holy places and other things are celebrated. Again, while we celebrate Pandharpur Wari and then have our darshan and other things, have our mind about keeping our environment and keeping the rivers clean. Maharashtra Pollution Control Board is trying to do their maximum in cleaning up and other things. And every year they are cleaning up a lot of solid waste and other things. But it is our responsibility to minimize this and handle it in a responsible way. So with this thing, I close my presentation and pranams to Vitala, and thank you for giving this opportunity. If you want to see many interesting videos and then talks similar to this on temple art and architecture and history, you can visit my YouTube channel Babu for Heritage, subscribe and get update on the new videos. Thank you. Thank you for all.
Thank you, sir. As thousands of Varkari continue their spiritual journey to Pandharpur, we will see the updates of both the Palkhis in Dinavishesh. First, let us turn our attention to Sant Tukaram Maharaj's Palki. After a day's travel, the Palki reached Vakri successfully, having set out from Pirachi Kuroli earlier. Meanwhile, Sant Dnyaneshwar Mauli's Palki has also made significant progress. After departing from Bandishega, the Palki has also settled comfortably in Vakri for its current halt. With that, We have reached the end of our today's program. I extend our heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed speaker, Mr. Sivasankar Babu, and I also thank each and every one of you who participated in this celebration. We will end today's program with Haripat. Tomorrow's speaker is Mr. Alkesh Saveri with the topic Dhanu Yatra. Let us meet tomorrow again at 7:30 p.m.
Namaskar.